Hi, this video is on taking the derivative of function using the power rule. And here's the rule for a power rule. If we have a function, and you see it just has x to a power, the rule is, this is the rule over here. If you look at it, what they're saying is whatever power you have in that exponent there, we're going to place it and multiply it in front of the function. And then we're going to subtract 1 to that power and leave it there. That's all it's saying. We're taking the power and putting it in front of the function and then subtracting 1, and that'll be our new function. You see, we put the n in front, and then we subtracted 1, and that was our new power. That's the power rule. All right, so let's take the derivative of two functions that I have here. I have one up here and then one I'm going to do next. So before I take the derivative of this function, I'm going to simplify it. This is a fraction. You can actually use the quotient rule to this, but I think it's easier to use the power rule. So let's try to use the power rule for this since we're learning the power rule. First thing I'm going to do is take the x squared and put it under each of these four terms. So I have 2x to the third power over x squared. I have a minus 3x squared over x squared. I have a plus x over x squared. And I have a plus 4 over x squared. So we're trying to simplify. Let's reduce. There's an x squared here and an x3, so that reduces to a function of just 2x to the 1 power. And do you notice I'm not taking the derivative yet? I'm just simplifying this function so I can take the derivative. Here the x squared is canceled, and I'm just left with a minus 3. One of the x's on top cancel with one of the x's on the bottom, and I'm just left with 1 over x. And on the last part, nothing cancels, so I'm left with 4 over x squared. All right, so I'm still not ready to take the derivative of this function. I want to simplify the last two terms here, so we still have this function here. The 2x stays the same. Minus 3 stays the same. 1 over x. I thought I heard somebody. Okay, so what I meant to put down was 1 over x can also be written as x to the negative 1 power, right? It has a 1 power here. If I want to bring it to the top, it's now x to the negative 1 power. And the same way with this, this can be written as 4x to the negative 2 power, bringing the changing the power to a negative brings it up to the top. So this is a better way of writing the function. Now we can use the power rule to take the derivative. So let's do that. The derivative of 2x, there's a power of 1 here. We're going to bring the 1 in front. 1 times 2 is 2. And then we're going to subtract 1. 1 minus 1 is x to the 0 power. And x to the 0 power equals 1. So this is x to the 0 power, which equals 1. The derivative of a constant is 0. Derivative here, bring the negative 1 in front. So we have negative 1 times a plus, which is a negative 1. And then we subtract 1. Minus 1 and a minus 1 is a minus 2. Bring the negative 2 in front. Negative 2 times 4 is a negative 8. And then we subtract 1. Negative 2 minus 1 is a negative 3. So our derivative now can be cleaned up a little. 2 times 1 is 2. Minus 1x to the negative 2 power. Minus 8x to the negative 3. So this is one way of writing the answer. If you want to, you can actually take those x's down to the bottom. There's no need, but if you're crazy and you want to, you can rewrite this where the x's are back down at the bottom. The 8 stays at the top, but the x goes to the bottom. That negative power brings it to the bottom. So either Either of these two ways is the correct way of writing the derivative for that problem. All right, so let's try this next one. The derivative of a square root of x. Well, first we have to rewrite it. And the square root of x can be written like this. X to the 1/2 power, right? So we're going to use the power rule. We're going to bring the 1/2 in front. So to take the derivative, we're going to bring the 1/2 in front. And then we're going to subtract 1 from it. Well, 1/2 minus 1 equals a negative 1/2. So this becomes 1/2 x. 1/2 minus 1 is a negative 1/2. So this is the derivative, and you can write it like this. And if you want to, you can also write it like this, 1/2. The negative takes the x down to the bottom. You can write it like this. And then if you want to, you can also write it like this. X to the 1/2 power is the square root of x. So all three of these are correct. And if you're doing a computer-based homework program, they will take all three of these answers. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I hope you have fun taking the derivative.